Hey, how's it hanging? It is I, the Rat Daddy. You know what I love? I love Halloween, and I wanted to share that with you guys in the form of some type of Halloween special video. But unfortunately, I wasn't really sure what to do or how to do it until I read this comment by our good friend, the Newbie Banana 3909, who really wanted to see our clone army and base survive against countless waves of zombies, and I'm going to do something like that today. Also, real quick, happy Halloween. As you can see, we do have Napoleon here along with our clone army. However, they do look a little bit different in their old uniforms. Consider it something of a Halloween costume, if you will. They are, of course, though, the same clones and commander that we have in our current series. I just put their old armors back on them. They still have the same weapons for the most part, except for Napoleon, who has 2 blasters now. But of course, they do still have all their bionics and serums and anything else we've gave them thus far. I gave Napoleon 2 blasters just mostly because I thought his current weapon set would be a little bit too OP. Just as well, of course, I thought using our current base in the series would be extremely OP as well, especially since we have so many turrets built up and stuff like that, so I thought it might be fun if we just built a small one out of scratch with the resources that we have available, so we started mining a bunch of steel and cutting down a bunch of trees. Well, we were at least, until all of our soldiers decided to take a little snooze out here on the ground, except for Napoleon. I guess the clone that I copy and pasted into this new save must have been a little tired. So I decided to let them take a little snooze for a little while, but once they awoken, they immediately began working on the steel and the wood once more. Now for this base, obviously I wasn't going to go too out of the box, and quite frankly, that's exactly what we built. A box with some barricades surrounding it and some wooden spike traps. That's, you know, I didn't want to get too creative as we're only going to be using this for this one video, fighting off zombies and, you know, all that fun shit, so it's pretty simple. Also, of course, I didn't want to build any defenses that were really any more complicated than spike traps, because the whole purpose of us not using our actual base and our actual save for this fun little project is because I thought it would be too overpowered. So of course we're just going with spike traps, that way we don't have turrets doing all the work for us. At a certain point, the men began to starve. Yeah, just a teeny tiny little bit, and I thought, oh shit, I hadn't planned for this at all. How was I going to feed this army? Then I remembered this is just a fun little video. I'll just cheat in some lavish meals. I have to feed my little clone babies after all. Ah yes, there you are, my children. A little meal from Papa. Get your little tummies full, eh? But of course, after eating their very nice meals from the Rat Daddy, they began putting the finishing touches on the base, and with that completed, it was finally time. We could begin our waves of zombies. So as the rain began to pour down on our beautiful white armor, Napoleon and his squadron prepared for a battle of epic proportions, a battle so mighty it would shake the earth beneath us. And I know what you're thinking, oh, you're just exaggerating for the video, it's not going to be that cool. This is actually going to be a pretty badass fight. But of course, without further ado, let us begin with our very first waves of zombies. Now, I thought it seemed interesting and or fair to have the zombies crawling up out of the ground. That way I could just spawn in these massive events with them where they just keep coming out of the ground essentially, but that ended up in us just blasting a bunch of them before they even got out. It did, however, create this really cool effect, especially when it's sped up in the footage like this, where all of a sudden they're all out of the ground and then they just start coming at us in these waves. As the number of zombies in one wave would start to dwindle, I would begin spawning in more and more. At a certain point though, I got a little bit bored of doing that and just started spawning in a whole shit ton of them, and this created some problems later on. But we were also having some issues at this time as well, with some of the zombies actually getting past our barricades and spike traps. And so thus, of course, they were getting a little bit too close for comfort to our clones. But even so, we would continue our valiant battle against the undead hordes of nightmarish creatures. But I'm not going to lie to you, even though we're continuing the fight, we are getting very much surrounded, and they are getting very, very close. So we decided that we would end up going around to the back of the base, where we would try to get away from them as we fought. Thankfully, the comment that inspired this video didn't say that we would have to protect the base or stay at the base. It was just how long can we survive. Technically it said how long can we and the base survive, but who cares about the details. After moving to the rear of the base, I realized that there were quite a few zombies back here as well, and the ones from the front were chasing us to the rear, so we decided that we would run out into the desolate forest and continue the battle there. Which I must say was much easier said than done, because as we were trying to escape the massive horde hordes chasing us, we were running straight into other hordes of zombies coming at us as well. But after a while, we managed to find a clear spot out here where there weren't as many zombies, and we began our final stand. Only not really, because this would still go on for quite a while, and we had many final stands. Hey, what can I say, baby? The clones are just too damn good and too damn powerful for these zombies to take us so easily. And as you can probably tell, by this point we had an absolutely ungodly amount of zombies, but our clones would continue the valiant fight against these undead hordes. I know I already said that, but I really like the way it sounds. And I really like the fact that even with them all grouped up like this in one small little place on the map, they're able to continue taking down all of these creatures. Now, my friends, you're probably asking yourselves, just how many zombies are we talking about here, Rat Knight? Well, my friends, we are currently taking on 2,000 plus zombies on this map as it stands right now. And that number is continuing to grow significantly every moment. As you can see, all of these little red and kind of dull red dots are zombies. Now look, for you guys, this is going at a moderate speed. It doesn't look too bad, I'm sure, but for me, this was going at an extreme snail's pace where I would spawn zombies in and let them fight the clones, and I would go do something for 20 minutes and come back. It was extremely slow. And I knew that our clones could destroy all of them. It would just take an extremely long time. So I thought, what is something we could do that really fits our clones? So of course I came up with nuclear bombs. We're going to fire a fusion warhead directly in the center of where all the zombies are and just kind of let them die. Now, like I mentioned, I'm not doing this because I thought that they could overtake our clones. I knew we could defeat all of them because they're coming at us in very small numbers and it would just take a really long time, so this was a cleanup effort. And for the most part, the fusion warhead seemed to clean up most of the zombies pretty well. I'll tell you what, no matter what we're doing in RimWorld, firing off a few fusion and nuclear warheads always feels so good. Now, of course, even though the fusion warhead destroyed the majority of the zombies in its vicinity, it did not kill all of them, which is where the clones come back in to finish up the cleanup effort. But I had an idea here where I thought, well, now that all the massive number of zombies aren't really scattered all over the place, maybe we just kind of give them one final stand where I spawn in the zombies really close to them and see how long they can last. So of course, naturally, that is exactly what I began doing, and this was really fun too, because not only were the clones not able to constantly shoot at every single zombie, once the zombies got really close, the majority of our clones actually had to go into melee combat with them, creating this little dog pile, which ended up taking away a good advantage from the clones, which were their blasters, which were extremely powerful and they could fire them extremely quickly from a distance. But I have to take a second here and brag on the clones. My own creation. I am so impressed and proud of them because even with this massive melee dog pile of zombies just beating the absolute shit out of them, they really held their own and they really fought back like hell. So much so, in fact, that I made it a point to begin spawning in these special zombies that do more damage, explode, and things like that just to try and kill them. And honestly, I found this to be very ironic because the video is supposed to be me seeing how many waves of zombies it takes to kill all of these clones, how many they can stand out against, that sort of thing, but in the end here, it was really me just trying my hardest to use zombies to kill them, and it wasn't working. And then after all this time though, we finally had our very first clone go down to the zombies, but it wasn't exactly as it seems. He didn't just get knocked down by them, he actually had a mental break. I think it was an insulting spree, and he wandered away from the group where they downed him, and now they're eating him. And if I can be completely honest though, our clones are extremely overpowered. I guess I didn't realize really how overpowered they were with their bionics, their serums, and everything after, you know, defeating Void and everything, but they are extremely overpowered, and the only way that we would lose to these zombies is by having mental breaks. So like, fighting these endless hordes of zombies, we're just gonna start starving, and our guys are gonna go crazy because they're starving, they're not getting sleep, they're gonna have mental breaks, and eventually the zombies are going to down them and eventually kill them. That is the only way. Because if I have full control over them with a base somewhere where I can get food and stuff, kind of like the little one we built, except maybe more accessible, or even if I tried to take them down there and put them in where they could eat and sleep for a while, I think I could really use them to just completely demolish any zombie horde that kept coming, to be honest with you. So I don't think really any hordes could take them on unless they have mental breaks and stuff, which is exactly what's been happening, and that's why we're losing people. But of course, I must say, because of that, I am going to go ahead and end the video here, because essentially I don't want to sit here forever and just watch them all eventually have mental breaks where they collapse. It's not as fun as seeing the zombies actually overtake them, which they're definitely not going to be able to do because the clones are just too damn good. They wouldn't have even got this close to our clone soldiers, the zombies I mean to say, they wouldn't have got this close to our clone soldiers if I hadn't have just let them sit here and spawned all the zombies so close to them. So if I were moving them around and stuff, I swear I think I could take on as many as possible. But I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I love you ever so much, and I hope you have a happy Halloween. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.